Dear President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light. Never would this story's plight, the world unfurled before our eyes. A pure demise of nations sitting peacefully under the sky. If I was your mother, that world would have been warm, so much laughter and joy, and nothing would harm. I can't imagine the stain, the soul stealing pain, that little boy you must have seen and believed. If I was your mother. That was my original piece, my original rendition of how I'm going to get Putin to stop this attack on Ukraine.
Guys, that is activism right there. Getting on your platform with hundreds of thousands of followers and dropping a poem about the Ukraine situation.
I know how to do poetry slam better than anyone, I would say.
What a fit.
And y'all are hearing my audition for putting me in peace talks with Putin. No more Emmanuel Macron. No more Joe Biden meeting with Putin. No more Boris Johnson trying to talk to... No, me.
Jeremy, put him in there.
No more peace talks between Zelensky and Putin on the border of Belarus or whatever. Put me in there.
Delegate Jeremy to talk on behalf of Belinsky. Put him in there with adoption papers and Putin.
I'll be the world's ambassador to Russia. And Putin will just trust me.
And Putin's mother.
Exactly.
And
I'll be
Putin's
mother.
new mother. You will adopt Vladimir Putin.
Congress needs to approve a treaty right now that appoints me as Putin's mother. And I will solve this global problem that we're having with Russia.
Exactly. Because, guys, that's real activism. Getting on and doing your really super not corny poetry slams on Twitter.
I hope none of our listeners saw the video before listening to this. So that
I hope they don't know what we're talking about right now.
I hope none of you listening right now saw the Twitter video of the woman saying all this. So it's just you going in blind.
I hope everybody listening could generally have just avoided that video and just that general like kind of genre of activism that has been just slam poetry and painting murals on the sides of buildings in New York with pictures of Putin and Trump making out.
I kind of like it though.
I won't kink shame.
I like it a bit more than the black squares on Instagram, I must say. It's a lot more entertaining, but it makes me want to die. It's so cringy. I don't know what this woman's name is that came up with this like poetry slam for Putin about being his mother.
Right here.
But if y'all can find it on Twitter, it's really funny. It's 2 minutes of that.
Annalyn McCord.
There you go. Look that up on Twitter. Find her video. It had me wanting to cry. Gouge my eyes out.
Caption is, "Dear Mr. President Vladimir Putin." ...
If I was your mother, if I was your mother, things would be different.
They would be.
I'm just built different.
You'd grown up in a loving home.
Exactly.
Wouldn't become a KGB spy master.
Maybe he still would have though. I'd have made sure he would have been one that is a nice person and very loved and joyous light and demise and shit.
I would have guided him in the right direction.
Exactly. I can fix him.
Oh my God, guys, I can fix him.
I can fix him. I swear to God, I can fix him. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back to Head in the Office. What an episode we got today. We got to give you an update on Russia and Ukraine. We got to give you a COVID update.
Ooh.
Talk about the Texas elections. It's election season officially.
Whoa, and primaries are over.
We'll talk about our coverage of this the State of the Union too.
Of course. We got to dig into it.
But I say this every single week. But some of you have still not got the fucking memo. Check out the social medias. Check out the Patreon. Check out the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. If you're listening on Patreon right now, you'll notice that this episode's out 2 days early.
Yeah, and if you're listening on Wednesday and something crazy happened on Saturday and or Sunday and we are not talking about it, that's because we're recording on Friday.
That's right. Now. Quick Friday record time. So if you're on Patreon, you're getting this even earlier.
Enjoy the early app.
The early access.
That's crazy.
It's because we like to spoil y'all.
But if you're also just listening to the pod in general, and like Jeremy said, you haven't got it through your thick fucking skull to get to the socials, what are you doing? We got 500 listeners like every week.
Exactly.
Pretty much. Exactly. 500 listeners. 80 followers on Instagram?
What's up with that?
Only like 50 followers on Twitter?
The links are in the description, people.
8,000 followers on TikTok.
I was popping off during the State of the Union. Your live reactions for me.
We stay tweeting. I was
watching State of the Union live reactions. Mm-hmm. You got to check that. You got to follow.
And like and retweet. Boost the engagement, please. Exactly. I need it during the week. I need the dopamine.
Speaking of boosting engagement, you could check us out on Apple and leave a review.
That's right.
And we got 5 reviews to read, or not 5, 4 reviews to read today.
That's insane.
4 reviews to read today. If you want to leave us a review on Apple, help us out. We would appreciate it. I think we'd appreciate it.
We would. I'd love it.
Our first 5-star review today, again on Apple, go check us out. Leave a 5-star review. Is from Apgar. They say funny yet understandable. These two simplify the usually difficult to understand topics while providing witty insight. I wait every Wednesday just to listen to the show. Incredible.
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 I wait every Sunday to record the show. It's
Exactly.
the only thing that brings me joy during the week.
You know what, listener, dear reviewer, you're incredible.
Yeah.
You're incredible. All right, next one is Great Podcast by Vader1245325.
Nice.
They say, just recently found this podcast, but it is the best mix of comedy and news that is truly progressive and funny. What can I say? You're not wrong.
I'm so incredibly humble. I just couldn't say anything, you know?
Vader, you're not wrong. You're speaking the truth.
I'm fucking hilarious.
You're right. Next one, 5-star review by Gat Spider-Man.
Okay.
They say, love your controversial take that war is bad this week. Mitt Romney would be proud.
Gotta do what we gotta do, you know what I mean?
Hey, dog, listen, I love bipartisan politics.
I do.
I love reaching across the aisle, and Mitt Romney's just one of those guys that I can talk to, you know?
Mitt Romney, great guy.
I could have a beer with him.
Me and all my homies actually love Bain Capital.
They have good practices over there.
They
Honest
have great
businessman.
practices. I love it when they just, bought Toys R Us as a debt sink and then fucking sucked it to the ground and just bankrupted
Toys
it.
R Us was not a part of my childhood. I was not sad to see it go.
Exactly.
It was not the end of an era. It actually had it coming, free market. So
Facts, on God.
Last review we have here is subject line, a political podcast for left-leaning Gen Z by Grady Bug.
Apt description.
They say, finally, white men have a place in the world of political podcasts.
I love breaking down stereotypes
Me
around
too.
here.
Me
You
too.
know what I'm saying?
We're breaking the glass ceiling.
We're
breaking the glass ceiling. It continues on. All jokes aside, this has quickly become my favorite politics-based podcast to listen to. These two cover a variety of topics with humor and wit that makes it feel like you're having a chat with some good friends. It is especially refreshing they don't stray away from calling out both sides of the political spectrum for absurd takes. What can I say? Bipartisan.
I love the smoke.
Like I said, we're bipartisan.
Equal lefts and equal rights. You know what I'm saying?
Additionally, the pair seem very knowledgeable about a variety of topics, but do not claim to be experts. Certainly a highlight of my weekly commute. Can't recommend it enough.
No. The only thing I'm an expert on is geopolitics.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The only thing I'm an expert on is world affairs, international relations.
Domestic policy.
It's the
tax code.
The tax code. My favorite lines of study.
Public health policy.
Basically everything I'm not majoring in.
Exactly. How dare you say we don't claim to be experts? We are the experts, the definitive voice of everything that has to do with the left.
The
and
voice
politics.
of Gen Z.
Exactly.
We're funny.
Exactly. A voice of the people, honestly. Anyway, I think it's time to dive into the news coverage.
It's time to hit some quick Russia-Ukraine updates. Not too much this week.
Right. Not a lot has happened, at least in terms of like
new shit.
New developments. There's been obviously developments with like Russia making progress in Ukraine, but that's kind of to be expected.
They took their first major city.
Yeah.
They just fought at it, kind of, yeah.
Because the mayor said that the city was taken, and they're like in talks with the Russian government to like decide how the city is going to function. Mm-hmm. But then U.S. sources are saying we're not ready to say that the city's been taken yet. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, a lot has happened since last week. At least in terms of like the Russian progression, it's not really like the situation has changed though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, we're recording Friday, so a lot's probably going to happen before we can get to like, or before this episode comes out. So like, take it with a grain of salt. We'll just try to general coverage.
Get you up to speed, possibly.
Exactly. General coverage. So a couple of days ago, Ukraine asked NATO to establish a no-fly zone for Russian aircraft over Ukraine. NATO said no, thank the fucking Lord.
Yeah, that's
because that would have been
basically
war.
An act of war. Yeah.
Because all right, what happens if Russia violates a no-fly zone?
That NATO set up, we got to enforce the no-fly zone.
Right. NATO shoots down a Russian plane. War.
What is Ukraine doing?
I don't know, dog. That was kind of out of pocket.
What the fuck?
I'm so glad NATO said no to that because that would have been really, really bad. Yeah. Anyway, and then over the last few weeks, we've also seen more countries and corporations impose sanctions of their own, including Google and Apple, which apparently Apple Pay is not working in Russia anymore, which is kind of tough for civilians.
I feel like that's kind of fucked because who does that hurt but the civilians?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Civilians trying to buy train tickets to get out
of Russia.
Yeah.
And also civilians who have family overseas who are trying to Apple Pay them money in a different currency so they can actually buy things because the ruble is literally in the shitter right now.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Crazy. And then also Warner Brothers. They said the new Batman movie's not being played in Russia.
No.
So if any of you enjoy superhero movies and you're planning to go to Russia, don't. Because you won't be able to see it.
Please don't. I've heard good things about Batman.
I've heard good things too.
Going to see it this week, I would be absolutely devastated if I was that. I'd have to personally intervene.
Bro, if your trip got rerouted to Russia by accident and then you just couldn't see it, that'd be devastating. That'd be devastating. But yeah, the Russian economy is struggling quite a bit right now. And it's not great for the Russian people at the moment.
I've seen videos from like Russian news, like financial like channels, kind of like what we got here with MSNBC.
What we are
Basically. Yeah, you know, #1 financial podcast in the world. I've seen videos of like a Russian hen fudge manager going on, and the first question that he was asked was, "Do you think you're still gonna have a job? Like in the future, do you think this profession is still gonna exist?" And he said, "No. In honor of some other hedge fund manager who drank to the last collapse, I brought some sparkling water and I'm just going to drink."
Dang.
And then that was it. That was the clip.
That's crazy.
Fucking insane over there.
That is crazy. Yeah. So let's talk about sanctions a little bit, because there seems like a lot of people that are confused what sanctions are for. And this is kind of coming from the left also. I've seen a lot of people that are just against all kinds of sanctions.
A lot of people say that sanctions are strictly escalation.
Yeah, they're saying it's an act of war. Well, here's the thing. First and foremost, sanctions are meant to be preventative measures. They're meant to be threats, basically. Like, if you do this, we will impose this sanction as like a deterrent to you doing whatever it is. And that's what it was before, too.
Yeah.
Before Russia invaded, it was, we are going to impose sanctions on you, Vladimir Putin, if you try to invade Ukraine. And then he invaded, and then we did it. At this point, it's working to make, the sanctions are working to make the occupation and assault of Ukraine by Russia as hard as possible.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal of the sanctions, is to make it as difficult as possible to maintain the assault. However, there are cases where sanctions hurt civilians, like with the Apple Pay thing. Although I don't think that was enforced by the government. I think that was Apple doing that themselves. Which is weird. Free market, by the way, and working as intended.
Kind of, again, common theme we have when we talk about various capitalist machinations here.
Yeah.
Kind of very dystopian that one company, one like Fortune 500 trillionaire company, can just go in and basically effectively sanction whatever country that they want. Kind of wild. Same thing happened with Elon Musk sending in the Starlink satellites to Ukraine. Crazy that individuals can be the ones to do these things.
Turn the tide of war. Yeah.
Wild.
I really love that people that can do whatever they want without any democratic say from the people just control geopolitics at this point.
Yeah.
Gotta absolutely love it. But like, sanctions can hurt civilians, and I think they have. Like, for example, when the U.S. would just cut food supplies off from Venezuela and just be like, look at what the Venezuelan government is doing. They can't feed you. And I think it may be a similar case with Russia with, I don't know how difficult or how extreme the U.S. sanctions have been, but in my opinion, the sanctions should just be to make Putin's life and the Russian oligarch's life as difficult as possible.
They should. The thing that's hurting civilians actively is the devaluation of the ruble, but that's also important when we think about it like within the context of this invasion, because that also devalues Russia's military fund.
Yeah.
They no longer have the huge amount of money that they had to sustain an invasion, which the Russian military isn't even built to sustain an invasion outside of their own borders. It's built defensively.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be doing this shit.
Yeah. And I've seen that there was, and we'll talk about this a little bit later with the State of the Union, but there was a plan to make it basically impossible for Russia to sell oil, which is obviously going to increase gas prices in the United States, and literally already has. Gas was
$4 a gallon here in Michigan.
Yeah, when we were driving by the gas station today, commuting to work. The problem that I see with this is that if it's not like, if the entire world doesn't agree, then the price of oil is going to jack up. And if Russia is able to sell any oil anywhere, they're still going to make a bunch of money because they can just sell it for that inflated price. The only issue would then be that the United States and other countries are going to be suffering the effects while Russia's still making the money. So I don't know how effective that's really going to be.
Yeah, it really only works if everybody in the world bands together against Russia.
Yeah, and we kind of have.
Kind of.
We're getting there, but like we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But anyway, there's been like a lot of sanctions that have been levied against the Russian oligarchs, which I found really interesting, that we could just cut off their bank accounts whenever we want, because we hear all the time that the U.S. government can't do anything to rein in the power of billionaires.
Yeah.
That there's nothing we can do against billionaires, but then we can just cut oligarchs off from all of their assets.
Kind of insane.
Don't ever let a politician tell you that we can't do anything against billionaires ever again.
Oh yeah. Like, spoiler alert for the State of the Union. In the State of the Union, Biden talks strictly about how they're working with allies in the EU to seize like luxury goods, apartments, and yachts from various Russian oligarchs. That's fucking wild.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild. And I mean, in the State of the Union, again, spoiler alert, he says it's partly because of the invasion, but also because they gained those things based on their exploitation of the Russian people. And I just thought that was kind of a self-report coming from the American capitalist. Like, let's be real.
It's like, okay, where do you think Elon Musk gets all of his assets and money and yachts and houses from? Is it not from the exploitation of the American people?
That all American wealth is ethical wealth? You got me chopped.
When America does it, it's hard work. When Russia does it, or when any country that we don't like does it, it's exploitation.
Facts.
But it's not inherent to the system. It's just they're bad individuals, bad apples, of course.
So true.
No systemic critiques. In other news, there's been fighting at a nuclear power plant. You told me about that.
Insane.
Crazy.
Insane. Why would you do that? Why would any sane anything think that it's okay to just launch a missile at Europe's #1 largest nuclear power plant? Mm-hmm. What? There was a fire that went on for, I think it was 5 hours, and firefighters had trouble getting in and establishing like a defensive perimeter. There was some fucking Russian like spokesperson that got on somewhere and said, actually, the Russian troops were just firing blanks if you heard any shots, and they weren't actual bullets.
Did you see that Russia's also been just launching missiles at residential areas and like colleges?
I saw a kindergarten.
A hospital got hit.
Just like Obama.
Yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
I saw some conservatives. I don't know where this was, if it was on Twitter or Reddit or whatever. They were like, they're like /serious or whatever. Okay. Why is Putin bombing hospitals? And it's like, dog, what do you mean why? They're bad people and it's strategic.
No,
it's a strategic bombing. It cuts off Ukraine's ability to push off or ward off the attack because they won't have the resources if they're fucking blown up.
They're literally just targeting civilian spots, and Russia said no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So Russia's just been bombing residential areas, and then I don't know where this was, but Russia just straight up dropped a vacuum bomb, which is I don't remember like the scientific name for it, but it's basically one step below a nuclear bomb without all the radiation.
Oh,
because
insane.
it just sucks up all the oxygen, then explodes.
Oh,
so devastating. Really devastating.
Wow.
Creates like a fireball in the middle. Lots of good war stuff. We just love to see that.
I think what is it? Syria uses that against Yemen every once in a while, or the Saudis use that
just
against
a quick vacuum bomb
against the Yemen rebels. They have I know there was something that the Russians, everybody was worried about the Russians using these on the Ukrainian people when the Saudis use them routinely against the people in Yemen, and nobody ever bats an eye. And it's yeah,
and
that is absolutely fucked.
one of the closest allies to the United States is Saudi Arabia. Gotta love that. Gotta absolutely love that. But I wanna dive into the coverage a little bit, like we did last week. The coverage of Ukraine, because a lot of journalists have accidentally just been absolutely racist.
Insanely racist. Racist.
For no reason. So I have one quote here from CBS correspondent Charlie DeGatta.
Okay.
He said, quote, "Ukraine isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan, that has seen conflict raging for decades. This is a relatively civilized, relatively European, I have to choose these words carefully, city where you wouldn't expect that or hope that it's going to happen."
He, in fact, chose none of those words carefully.
Bro, that's carefully?
Not a single one of those words were chosen carefully. What does he mean by that?
What would he say if he wasn't trying to be careful?
No, literally. Literally, though. He just said, it's okay when it happens to brown people.
Mm-hmm.
It's strictly okay when it happens to brown people, but guys, these are white people. I'm pretty sure, isn't there somebody else that said, guys?
Check this out. So on BBC, a former deputy prosecutor general of Ukraine, they said, quote, "It's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed every day. We're not talking here about Syrians fleeing bombing from Syrian regime backed by Putin. We're talking about Europeans leaving in cars that look like ours to save their lives."
Dog.
You don't have to be racist. You don't have to be racist.
Why, at the very least, why blonde hair and blue eyes?
Yeah.
Why, guys, we're looking at Aryan people. This is happening to Aryan people.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, if you haven't caught on now, civilized versus uncivilized is just code for white people versus brown people in the Middle East.
Yeah, no, literally. It's absolutely insane.
Why do they feel the need to make this comparison?
You know what I mean? It's maybe they had seen the correct critique from leftists that are like, oh my God, you all are hyper-focusing on this Ukraine conflict, but nobody says anything about anything happening in Africa. Nobody says anything about what's going on in Syria and Yemen happen in anywhere, but you focus on the white people conflict, and they're like, yes, because they look like me.
Yeah, because it's Europe. Europe, the continent that has been known for having absolutely no wars at all, ever.
Europe, the continent that hasn't historically been the fucking worst in the last 100 years.
Europe, the continent that didn't have the 100 Years' War, World War I, or World War II, or anything like
what's
that.
up with that? Europe that didn't famously have Hitler.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, Europe that wasn't historically known for being responsible for the rape of Africa or anything.
Yeah. Guys, they're white.
European countries,
white people.
European countries that haven't colonized half the planet or anything like that.
Guys, this isn't okay when it happens to middle-class people, which is what somebody said. I can't remember who it was, but one correspondent was like, these are middle-class people that this is happening to. It can happen to anybody at this point. What is it? It's okay when it happens to the people in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It's okay when it happens to a humanitarian aid worker in Afghanistan who's bringing water to his village.
They're uncivilized.
Exactly.
They're just uncivilized people.
Ridiculous.
No, it's just absolutely insane to see how they could just treat our atrocities committed in the Middle East as okay, and then be like, well, but it's not okay when Putin does it against these white European people. That's unacceptable.
Because they literally just said that it's white people. It's just when it's white people. I cannot believe that they gave away the plot like this, and people still don't see it.
Yeah,
people still don't see it.
And here's the critique for some idiots in our comments that have been coming after us.
Oh yeah.
People have said some shit nobody pushed back against the U.S. when they did it, but when Russia's doing it, the whole world pushes back. Everyone should have mobilized against us when we did it. Everybody.
That's precisely the issue, my guy.
The problem is that, at least up until before Russia invaded Ukraine, the world was basically unipolar during the Cold War and afterwards, meaning the U.S. could get away with literally doing anything, and so could many of our allies. Just get away with committing as many atrocities as we wanted with no pushback from any kind of corporate interest or other nation.
Yeah.
The difference is now that Russia doesn't really enjoy that same privilege, but they're doing the same thing we did. The only difference is they're doing it against white people.
Yeah.
And suddenly the world doesn't think that's okay, but if we do it against brown people, it goes under the radar for 20 years.
Facts. If we do it against brown people actively, literally right now in fucking Palestine, then nobody cares. Nobody cares unless Hamas launches a rocket.
Yeah. No, in fact, if we do it against brown people, George W. Bush gets reelected in 2004, and is praised as a hero until
if we do it against brown people, we don't negotiate with terrorists. That's exactly what it is.
But when it's done against Ukrainian people, it's a war crime. It's a tragedy. It's a war crime either way, people.
Literally.
The victims here are victims. They're all human beings. Either way, there should always be a mass mobilization against war crimes and imperialism.
Yes.
But there isn't against the United States, and it's good that there is against Russia. That does not free the United States from blame. I don't understand why people can't connect those dots.
It's literally just 14-year-olds, I swear to God. 14-year-olds on Twitter who think they have a platform.
Yeah. Another bad take I want to address that I think is probably the funniest one.
All right.
Is that when Trump was in office, Russia didn't invade anybody.
I fucking hate it so much. I not only do I hate that in this context, but I was thinking about this earlier, on my commute to work back.
He'd just be thinking about his job all the time.
I do, because I was listening to the State of the Union while I drove over here, so the takes are still fresh, you know what I mean? And Biden, again, spoilers for the State of the Union, keeps talking about shit like, oh, this happened under me, this happened under me, this with the economy happened under me. Presidents love to just claim literally anything that happens under them and just say, oh, this is because of me.
Yeah.
It can be completely fucking unrelated to anything that they did, any policy that they passed, and they will literally just take it and be like, yeah, that's me, guys. I did it. And the same goes for when they are not president. If anything bad happens after they leave office, even if they set it up, it's the next guy's fault. I fucking hate how presidential politics has evolved with that respect. It's so stupid.
And to touch on that, kind of, again, spoiler for the State of the Union, there was one point where Biden said that he has had the biggest job growth under his presidency out of all of them, which is true because we're still making back a lot of jobs from the pandemic. I think he said 6.5 million jobs added to the economy or something. And that is true. And a lot of people from the right are criticizing him and saying well, we still haven't gotten all the jobs back from the pandemic. Also true. But they also gave Trump all of the credit for inheriting the economy that Obama passed on.
Yeah. No, literally.
If you remember, the unemployment line was steadily dropping throughout all of Obama's presidency since 2009. Trump rode the wave, and they were like, look, Trump's doing a great job. He gave us low unemployment. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, no, literally.
It's so nauseating to see how many people will just make magical carve-outs for their candidate, for their party, just to make a political point when they're not even making sense.
And even just to piggyback off that, back to the specific claim that Biden made about the best fucking recovery ever, bringing the most jobs back. That's not because of you, though.
Right.
That's simply because we are moving out of the pandemic.
Right.
That's literally literally it. Like, ah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you've even studied politics or looked at politics, economics for a minute, you'll know that the president really isn't in control of the economy.
Oh, especially the stock market.
Right.
The president virtually has no control over anything that happens in the fucking stock market.
If anything, if any political body or power has some kind of influence over the economy, it's going to be Congress with what it passes. The president really doesn't.
Yeah.
Especially because he won't do things like cancel student debt and allow students to go and spend money rather than having to repay their loans to massive financing corporations. Like, the president really does not have that much of an impact over the economy, so they're kind of just subjected to whatever they inherit and whatever happens during their presidency. But every single time, the president's either blamed or given credit for the good or bad economy. And it's dumb.
It's very dumb. And you should not follow that line of thinking.
But anyway, back to the claim that Russia didn't invade anyone under Trump. First of all, even if we're just playing it as like a probability game, Trump will land 4 years. Smaller sample size.
Let's go.
Smaller sample size.
But Biden only had one.
True.
Much smaller sample size.
Incredibly small.
Therefore, it's Biden's fault.
Therefore, it's Biden's fault. Well, here's the thing. Putin got whatever he wanted under Trump.
Yeah.
Him and Trump were friends. They were
good
buddy-buddy.
friends.
And Putin is very aware that conservatives in the United States are on his side. And I'd be willing to bet, if he's making any kind of political calculations and he hasn't completely lost his mind, that he is understanding that if he attacks another nation during a Republican presidency, that'll look bad for Republicans in the United States.
Yeah.
But if he does it during a Democratic presidency, then he can have a chance to blame it on Democrats, and then someone that is more agreeable to him and his nature will get back into office, like Donald Trump, if all things go well for him in the United States. And then he's going to have someone in position of power in the United States that'll do whatever he wants again. Like, I would not be surprised if Putin's making that calculation. It's a pretty simple one. It's not even like a conspiracy theory.
Possibly, but also it's like kind of weird because I think it's no president who, while we're not in a war yet, and I'm hoping we never enter a war, no president who was ever president during a war ever lost his reelection.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's complex. It's fucked.
I don't remember exactly what the phenomenon is, but it's just like whenever we go to war,
hyper nationalism.
Yeah, it's literally just hyper nationalism,
all that.
Patriotism, trust, and coalescence behind the leaders, and
Yeah.
you support. It happened for George Bush during
you sign away
2001.
your rights. You think the Patriot Act is cool.
Bro had a like 81% approval rating. George W. Bush
And
after
he
9/11.
fucking sucked.
That dude was awful.
He objectively was bad.
Like one of the worst. Straight up one of the worst. And bro had an 81% approval rating for at least a year after 9/11. So you know that when bad shit happens, the president just gets support. That did not happen for Trump during COVID, though.
That's true.
Which is notable. But also, last thing for this. Please, for the love of God, stop centering U.S. politicians in European conflicts or any conflict around the world, to be honest.
That's the biggest takeaway from this.
Like, I'm not going to claim that we have had absolutely no hand in pushing Russia to the point where they're going to invade Ukraine. We probably have with like NATO's stupid fucking activities in Ukraine and in that region throughout the past 50 years or so.
Yeah.
But again, doesn't justify Russia invading. And
Not at
also,
all.
what was Biden supposed to do? Did you want us to fucking invade Russia? Is that what
did you
wanted?
want us to establish a no-fly zone?
Right.
Did you want us to put troops in Ukraine?
Like, what else could he have done other than economic sanctions? Like, there's nothing else
Yeah.
that we could have done against Russia to stop them, unless it's like we launched like an actual amphibious assault, like Trump said he wanted to.
No, didn't Trump say we did?
He said we did. He said he thought that we did.
Fucking God, dude.
So yeah, if you think that the idea that there wasn't an invasion or Trump is smart, stop.
Stop, please.
Just opt out of politics for the rest of your life until you devise some better takes and get out of here with this nonsense.
So you go get better takes, watch our entire backlog of episodes, become a patron and leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, this is the 35th episode, people.
That's
You've got a lot of
insane.
work to do.
Lots
Catch
of
up.
content to catch up on.
Anyway, I think that sums up on Russia.
Okay.
Moving on to a little COVID-19 update.
Something
I figured this was
seemingly
notable.
everyone has forgot about.
Yeah, I saw this as notable. Speaking of, before we even get into this, I saw MSU completely dropping their mask mandate. I saw that on the news yesterday morning.
I didn't see that on the news yesterday morning. You're
Here's what
lying.
they said MSU dropping their mask mandate except for in classes.
That's what I had heard rumors that's what they were going to do. I didn't know it was an actual thing, though. And I go to MSU.
They said for sporting events, the mask is off.
I mean, it was basically off anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody fucking wore them in the stadium.
They said sporting events, the mask is off. And I guess like walking around doing your own thing, mask is off. But only in classrooms is there going to be a mask mandate. And there's also no more vaccine mandate. Not that
What?
was ever enforced, probably.
It was like they threatened to like fucking expel you from the school, but they also, in verifying that you got the vaccine, all you had to do is check a box that says, yes, I got vaccinated.
So you just lie.
No, I'm not lying. Yeah, no, literally.
And even if you are lying and they catch you, like, what are they going to do? They legally can't do anything.
No facts. But it's like, I just think it's so funny. Like, let's go off topic a little bit, right?
Okay.
Kind of relatively
a little bit
on
ad
topic.
lib.
There are so many fucking conservatives on campus, probably from like the TPUSA club, the Young Republican Club, or whatever the fucking, mega nerds on campus.
Yes.
Get absolutely no maidens if they're in the Young
No
Republican
maidens.
Club.
You are maidenless.
No maidens plus tarnished.
Shout out Elden Ring players if you got
Honestly,
any.
they have been bitching constantly about this fucking thing, and you just lie. Literally, just fucking shut the fuck up and lie, please.
Yeah.
Like, you are just complaining just to complain at this point. It is not a barrier. It really isn't. It's so, oh my god, it's been so ridiculous. Let me go on another tangent, because I was in the chemistry building the other
Silent
day.
majority, though.
Silent majority, of course. They're so silent. They're definitely not the loudest people in the room. Speaking of them being really silent and really cool and based, around the chemistry building, I want to say like 2 days ago or some shit, somebody littered a bunch of pamphlets like all across all the tables that said like resist your mask or don't wear masks, just in like yellow lettering on a black fucking piece of paper, and that was it. They just put them there. And I just wanted to get on here and say that honestly, whoever did that is really super cool and anti-establishment. Conservatism truly is the new punk rock.
Oh my fucking god.
You
dog.
know, what an amazing act of protest.
It's the new punk rock, even though they would not acknowledge that rock and roll literally came from black culture. But okay.
But conservatism is really the new punk rock.
That's so funny. Like, oh my god, a mask is a threat to my freedom.
I
Like,
know.
you have to be so incredibly privileged to ever
You're
say
so
that a mask
fucking cool, dude.
is threatening your freedom.
You're so fucking cool and anti-establishment, laying these pamphlets out in the fucking chemistry building anonymously. Like, wow, king, honestly.
You're such an activist. That's praxis, baby.
That made me take off my mask right then and there.
Oh, that convinced you.
That
convinced
did.
you. That's so funny.
Maybe
Anyway.
that convinced MSU to lift their mandate.
Oh, that was it. The president walked by and saw, and he was like, "Shit,
Fuck,
it's gotta
dude,
go."
they got me. They got me.
Yeah,
And then he uttered under his breath, under his mask, conservatism really is the new punk rock.
yeah, true.
Shit.
It's the new punk rock. Anyway, so states across the country are undoing their mask mandates for schools and universities, like we just talked about, and not as if the regulations are really even there to begin with.
Dude, no, literally, that's another thing I wanted to say about this, is the mask mandate was pretty much the last COVID regulation to like survive anything. There's nothing now. It's just pretty much back to normal.
There already wasn't social distancing.
Yeah.
Because, at least in my classrooms, you can't. You straight up cannot
It's too
social
small.
distance. Exactly. It's too small. Even with like the big lecture halls, there's too many people. Like they're
Yeah.
still going full capacity for classes. So social distancing was already gone. There was no actual method to check if students were really vaccinated, so that wasn't really in place anyway. It was just masks, and people didn't even wear them right anyways, so it's not even like it's there.
No facts. And even if you didn't want to lie about getting your vaccination, all you had to do was take a test once a week. And that's it. And you're bitching about that, dude. What? They're the party. They're the people that always talk about like masculinity and like being liberals being weak bitches, and then they go and do this.
Personal responsibility. My personal responsibility did literally get you sick and kill you.
My personal responsibility to murder.
Exactly.
I love it.
Anyway, Joe Biden took a note out of President Stanley's book.
Okay.
That's the MSU president, right?
Yeah, that's
Stanley?
right.
Yeah.
Shout out Stanley.
He took a note out of the MSU president's book, and he said no mask mandate for the Capitol during State of the Union.
Damn. Okay.
And just a note, COVID cases actually they have dropped since January, February. The peak has gone basically away at this point. We're now on to a 7-day average of 58,000 new cases a day, rather than 700,000 new cases.
Well, that certainly is better.
certainly is better, but it's still lots of new cases a day.
No facts.
So
I
that's
also I kind of hate the timing. Of this fucking mandate drop, because one, it is just vindicating conservatives who think that another once Russia starts, once the fucking war starts in Russia, then COVID just goes away, huh? And also, just with the college perspective, spring break starts for me next week. I don't go to school next week. That's why we're recording on Friday, because I got to dip on Sunday. I'm dipping tomorrow, actually. Anyway, I digress. But spring break starts. So why can't you just drop the mask mandate like 2 weeks after we get back, so you can ease all the spring break transmission from everybody going to fucking like Florida, the cesspool of the world?
Oh yeah, no, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
schools are gonna be fucking annihilated in like 3 weeks.
And if they even try to reinstate a mask mandate, if
It's gonna be
cases
a riot.
surge again, literally,
It's
literally.
a riot. It's a riot. Yeah, no, it's really not great. And from what I can tell, the CDC has already changed their masking guidelines to just like do whatever you want. Like before, they at least had some guidelines in place where they were like, "This is what you should do," and now they're just like, "I don't fucking care."
Fuck it, dude. Yeah, I know. Nobody fucking cared since we went back to school. You know, we gotta frame it since we went back to school because that's all I know. It's literally all I know right now. But anyway, like at my girlfriend's college at Grand Valley, they had protocols, right? And they're like, okay, if we get to this amount of cases a day, we are gonna instate these mask mandates. We're gonna go this online.
Yeah,
we'll
that's
be
good.
doing hybrid, right? And then they hit that case per day, and they said it's just a guideline.
Oh my!
It's just a guideline. They just didn't do it. That's like.
Wow.
Nobody's given a shit about COVID since the fall.
No. And I love how they're like, wow, the war in Ukraine starts and then the COVID just disappears. It's like any two events that happen simultaneously, they'll just link them together in their brain. It's like, wow, it's summertime and ice cream sales are up, but also robberies are up. They must be linked.
Crazy.
Ice cream must lead to robberies.
Crazy.
It's like, dog, sometimes things happen at the same time without being directly linked to each other.
No, literally. And it's like, even if, because like, we would be lying if we said that media didn't forget about COVID for like swaths of time over the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah, they have.
But it's simply a consequence of the 24-hour news cycle and capitalism. Like, that's literally it. They are just incentivized to cover what is the most profitable for them to cover in the 24-hour structure.
Oh,
that's it.
The media loves war.
They fucking
war,
love it.
bro.
They're
Ever
so
since we got out of
fucking
Afghanistan,
horny for war.
Ever since we got out of Afghanistan, they've been fiending for
They don't know
war.
what to do.
They want it
They're
so
fucking,
bad.
They're so fucking horny.
They want to just be in there, see people die. All the images of people just dead. That's
They're
what
sitting
they
there
want.
just fucking, they're
Foaming
salivating at the mouth. Just
yeah, no. It's the media want war, and also just like generally, culturally, we don't have the just, I don't know, care for each other that we should under capitalism. You know what I mean? Like everything, you're just incentivized to get yours and get out. You're not incentivized to actually care about anybody or to take responsibility for your community in any kind of capacity. So of course nobody cares about mask mandates.
Unless it's a white person with blonde hair and blue eyes in Europe.
Oh yeah,
then we care about that.
Yeah, then you feel
it's
responsible
okay.
for that person, despite literally thousands of people dying, or millions of people dying during the war on terror.
Despite, Israel doing a lot worse things to Palestine and us continuing to fund the Iron Dome.
Exactly.
So, fun.
Exactly. Anyway, back to COVID. There was a death peak. There was a death peak after that Omicron surge that happened in January and December time. And we still have like a 7-day average of about 1,800 deaths a day. So not good. And apparently, there's a new subvariant of Omicron called Stealth Omicron.
Stealth Omicron?
Yeah, it's just a subvariant, so it doesn't get its new like letter or whatever system they're
the Greek
using.
letters.
But that new subvariant has emerged, and it may be more infectious than the previous variant. Not surprising. That's kind of the trend that we've been seeing. And the data's unclear at the moment, but from what I could read, based on early reports, is that those that had Delta are more likely to get infected by this one than those that had Omicron. So you're good.
Let's go.
You're chilling. But yeah, so I hope it doesn't just like reinfect everybody, because that'd be tough.
That would be
especially
horrible.
with mask mandates just gone.
But then again, literally every person I knew had either been exposed to Omicron or had Omicron in January. It was actually kind of insane.
It was wild.
Yeah.
It was wild. And now we're taking the mask off. Also, in COVID news, did you see Ron DeSantis got triggered?
Dude, that shit. Oh, let's roll the clip.
Let's roll the clip.
Let's
Go
roll
ahead
the
and take a
clip real
listen.
quick.
Take a listen. So if you couldn't tell what was going on, Ron DeSantis was at a press conference.
Yeah.
And he had some kids behind him, like school kids, elementary kids, whatever.
You know how they
middle
have
school.
their fucking props.
Right. They had their props back there. The kids all had masks on. He walks up, he's like, take your mask off. You can wear it if you want to, but this COVID theater needs to end.
So fucking stupid, dude. Ben Shapiro. I felt like I had a banger tweet this week. But I replied to it. We usually quote tweet shit, but I replied because like maybe this will get me up. Maybe this will get the likes up. It didn't.
But yeah, Ron DeSantis just pulls up on these kids and he's like, take your mask off. You don't need to wear those masks. They don't do anything. They don't protect anybody. And it's just like, dog, why are you getting triggered over kids? Like I love so much how conservatives can talk all day about how liberals get triggered. You're triggered about masks, or you're triggered about people not wearing their mask. You're triggered about forcing people to get vaccines, and then they just lose it when they see a kid wearing a mask.
No facts. So we literally just played the clip. So you just heard exactly what he said, right?
I know.
peep this cognitive dissonance real quick. Ben Shapiro tweeted, if you want to wear, DeSantis to students, if you want to wear those masks, fine, but they don't do anything, and administrators shouldn't force you into COVID theater. Students unmask while smiling. Media. And then he quote tweeted like an ABC News thing that said DeSantis like scolded these kids, which he literally just fucking did.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not Ben Shapiro dick riding literally so hard.
Uh-huh.
Tell me that is not basically horny posting on Maine.
Uh-huh.
Like,
It is.
what the fuck?
No, that it's so funny. He's like, kids unmasked smiling. Like, all right. If you're like 12 years old and your governor, who is known for just being an absolute dickhead, walks up to you and is like, take your mask off while you're at his press conference, are you going to like do that happily?
No,
like
facts.
you're being ordered by the governor. And the dude who's like notoriously an asshole to everybody.
His whole fucking thing, their whole fucking thing supposedly is do whatever you want, just don't make me do it. And then he scolds these kids on fucking TV.
Yeah, publicly.
On national fucking TV.
Yeah, but to Ben Shapiro, that was a voluntary interaction, and the kids voluntarily took their mask off. They weren't being berated or degraded in any kind of way by the governor of the state.
Ben Shapiro was dick riding so hard in that tweet that it was basically porn.
Yeah.
For someone who talks about sexual degeneracy all time, he really put that shit on my timeline. Like,
I love Ron DeSantis. He's so cool. He's so cool. Anyway, I think that sums it up on COVID. I think we could talk about the Texas
the next
elections a little
greatest
bit.
state in the union.
The greatest state in the
Texas.
union. The Lone Star State.
Everything's bigger.
So the 2020 elections, people, or 2022 elections, sorry, they finally kicked off.
Let's go.
They finally kicked off because Texas had their primary elections that took place on March 1st.
Mm-hmm.
It's very exciting for us.
Let's go.
Because I got some crazy news coverage in here. So quick summary, Greg Abbott won the GOP nomination for governor, not surprising.
Yeah.
Some people thought he would struggle because he had some people to the right of him challenging him, but he was fine. Yeah, to the
Guys,
right.
some people thought he would struggle because there are literally Nazis challenging him.
He won pretty handily.
Okay.
And then Beto O'Rourke overwhelmingly won the Democratic nomination. He won by a larger margin than when he won the nomination in 2018 when he ran against Ted Cruz for Senate.
Okay.
So I don't know that really means anything, but that's just the punditry I saw out there. So I'm informing you all.
All right, maybe Texas will go blue.
I fucking doubt
There's
it.
no shot.
But they'll obviously face each other in November. Hoping for Beto O'Rourke to win, but he also kind of sucks.
Oh yeah, especially with his. Actually, guys, Greg Abbott is the corrupt socialist.
Not me, guys. I swear I'm not a socialist.
Guys,
I swear.
Democrats, we're not socialists. Actually, it's Republicans.
I'm a capitalist.
That are
I'm a capitalist.
This is peak political discourse.
Exactly. And then progressives actually in the state made some headway with Greg Caesar, a former city councilman. He won a nomination in a safe Democratic district. So that's pretty cool. Pretty progressive guy. And then also Jessica Cisneros and Jasmine Crockett, two progressives, are heading to runoffs where they're running against moderate Democrats.
Ooh.
So some local state politics, or some state politics for Texas. That's pretty cool.
That is
pretty good.
Cool.
Pretty good to see. And then at the same time, a lot of Trump-backed GOP candidates won their primaries. And those that opposed Trump kind of got washed. Some of them still won, but a lot of them are going to runoffs.
Are any of us really surprised?
That's kind of crazy.
Is really surprised.
Kind of crazy. Just further cements the idea that Trump's got a strangle grip on the party.
It's just the
polarization,
cult.
baby.
It's just a cult.
It's good to see the progressives are winning, though.
Facts.
And there wasn't a ton of news on this election since it was like only really primaries, nothing crazy happening, just like the kickoff of the year. But I did want to check on our friend of the show, who was famous for uttering the line, "Gene was an enemy of the people,"
because he's Chinese.
Shelley Luther. So unfortunately, our friend running for the House District 62 in Texas lost her race.
Aww.
She got sweeped 59-41.
Really?
She lost to incumbent Reggie Smith, a Republican. She was running in her primary. So she's not going on. I checked her Twitter yesterday. She's been absolutely radio silent.
Really? She hasn't been
anything
unhinged
since February.
Dog, that's got to be so embarrassing. She was just fucking vehemently racist on Maine to not win.
I know. It's
just
so
to
sad.
not win.
I mean, good for democracy, probably.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sure this Reggie Smith character is kind of a piece of shit. He's running as
he's
Republican in Texas.
Worse or just as bad.
Right. But Shelley Luther was funny. You know? So yeah, our friend that was just straight up anti-Asian on the TL.
Yeah.
Not going on to be an elected representative.
Damn.
Better luck next time, Shelley.
Thanks.
Better luck next time. But I got another news story.
Okay.
This one's a bit more unhinged. Not more unhinged than Enemy of the People.
I'm ready.
But, more unhinged than Shelley losing. So let's check in on this story, right?
Yeah.
This time it's Representative Nicholas Van Taylor, who was the incumbent for Texas 3, the 3rd district in Texas.
Okay.
He was going to head up to a runoff election against his opponent for the primary, I can't remember the name of this person that he was going to go to the runoff against, but he's not now because he had to drop out of the race.
Oh.
Because news broke of an affair that he was having.
Oh.
But it was not just any affair.
Oh?
Dallas Morning News reports that, quote, Representative Van Taylor apologized Wednesday for an affair with an ex-jihadist dubbed the ISIS Bride. Kind of crazy, right?
What?
Yeah. So this woman, she's especially controversial. Her name is Tania Joya. She married another American previously, I think back in like 2013 or something like that.
Okay.
And then apparently that what the news report said was that at the time she was basically a jihadist. And this dude converted to Islam, and then he became a top recruiter for ISIS. And then he died, I think in like 2017 or something like that.
Uh-huh.
So she's not married to him anymore. But
not by choice.
Right, of
Not
course.
by choice.
After 2017, she left Turkey and she came to the United States where she apparently denounced her ties with ISIS. And then she joined some program to help like deprogram extremists that came into the United States.
Okay, cool.
So I guess she's like atoning for whatever sin she may have committed.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But it's kind of like they called her the ISIS bride. Like, holy shit.
That's an optical nightmare for a conservative.
Yeah. And so Van Taylor, what he had to say was, quote, about a year ago, I made a horrible mistake that caused deep hurt and pain among those that I love the most in the world. I had an affair. It was wrong, and it was the greatest failure of my life. Now, apparently, after the relationship ended, about like a year ago, I think is what he said, he paid her $5,000 in hush money. So you may be wondering, how did the story come to bear? How did it pop up? How did it reach surface level?
Yeah, did she break her silence?
So Joya, she approached a candidate that was running in the primary. Her name was Suzanne Harp.
Cool.
She asked Harp to speak with Joya because she wanted Van Taylor to resign. The ISIS bride wanted Van Taylor to resign because she was like, I see his face on billboards everywhere.
Uh-huh.
I see that he keeps campaigning. I think he should step down. Like, this is like, it's fucked up. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And instead, Harp, being an absolute demon with the messaging, she sent a reporter to go talk to Joya.
Okay.
Because Joya wanted to meet with her.
Yeah.
And then she did a 35-minute expose.
What?
And this was posted on nationalfile.com, which is a far-right exclusive news, like a far-right news source that like does a bunch of exposés, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But this might be too putrid to leave in the show. But the title of the article is, all caps, exclusive. Okay. Van Taylor accused of extramarital affair with ISIS bride, abuse of power, rim job text.
What the fuck?
And I looked at the text. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's bad, dog.
That's peak clickbait. That is peak.
No, it's not. Clickbait. It's not clickbait. It's real. Like that.
Well, I guess, yeah, but like, this Texas representative accused of affair. Rim job text.
Yeah, so that's the story of why Representative Van Taylor's not going through with this runoff. And then Suzanne Harp, the person that was running against him in the primary that broke all of this, didn't even win the primary. So it's some other random person that's like going on to be the GOP candidate for the seat. And
she just did it for the love of
Congress.
smoke.
Yeah.
I wish more Democrats were like that.
She just did it to sink this dude. And I think it's kind of like the woman that he had an affair with, Joya. I feel bad for her because like she was trying to just like get him to stop running, trying to like keep it hush hush. She didn't want this to be like a big public news story. Now it's like a national story. She just wanted to get him to step down. And she's been working to like help people that were in the same position that she was when she came to the United States.
Yeah.
And she's just being like destroyed by the media. Like
she did like the de-radicalization. She did what like anyone should do in a system that well, even though we don't have a rehabilitative justice system, but in an ideal rehabilitative justice system should do when they do something bad. And then and then right next to her name, rim job text.
Holy shit. And you know what's really funny is that my mind, when I was reading this story, my mind immediately went to how people like Ilhan Omar are called like jihadists in Congress.
Probably by him.
Right.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's the GOP that are the jihadists. It's the America-loving, freedom-fighting, family values party that is the one getting tied up in extramarital affairs with former jihadists.
It's fucking insane.
And it's like, I don't even really care, like, if he was with this woman. Like, love who you love. Cheating is wrong, but, you know, you do you. Yeah. I don't care that you were with some woman that's, you know, from Syria or whatever. but like the party that is always hating on brown people purposefully.
Anytime a fucking Muslim gets elected to Congress, or not even like a religious Muslim, anyone who comes from a Muslim area gets elected to Congress, the House, the Senate, whatever, any position of power, they launch like full fucking background checks into any of their family, their second cousins, and if any of them are related to just any maybe possibly extremist activity, they rail them for that. They started rumors about how Ilhan Omar and what was it, her brother
married each other.
Yeah. Like just
to
horrible
get in the United
shit.
States, yeah.
And then they go and fuck former jihadists.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
They go and get rim jobs from former jihadists.
The only reason he was exposed is because the GOP was gone so far right that there was someone else in his party that was willing to out him and still lose the election.
Who'd they lose to?
I don't know. It was just some random dude. They like, I think in Texas, they have certain runoff laws where if you don't get a certain percent in the primary, you go to a runoff.
Okay.
Kind of like Georgia did with the Senate races. So he didn't get the percent required to just win the nomination. So he was going to go to a runoff, and then this news story broke that he was having an affair, wanted a rim job, yada, yada, yada. And then he was like, I'm going to step down because he was just getting fucking destroyed. Because, I mean, how are you gonna get exposed like that?
How do you recover from that? How do you recover from rim job text?
Yeah. But anyway, so when the GOP tells you that the Democrats are jihadists and, you know, going to destroy America, just know that they're the one actually having sex with the former jihadists, which, again, I don't care.
Yeah, good for you, I guess.
But stop being racist. Stop being racist, please, for the love of God.
Stop calling out other people. Stop lying about other people doing what you literally did to try to hurt them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that kind of sums it up on Texas elections. You know we'll be looking out for this. I'm very excited for the primaries, the GOP primaries for Michigan governor. That's going to be a lot of fun.
So many fucking characters that we're going to get to cover.
If y'all don't know, kind of just an aside, in Michigan, the governor's race on the GOP side right now for the primary is just a fucking mess.
Really?
Like, they don't have any clear candidate. There's a couple of candidates that have like met with Trump. There's some that are like tied up in like legal disputes, like criminal activity and shit. So I am very excited if there's ever debates. Because there definitely will be one, at least between Whitmer and somebody else. But I'm ready for it.
Man, Rick Snyder should make a comeback.
Ooh, Rick Scott?
Rick Scott.
I can't wait. We're gonna be tuning into all the debates. Maybe we'll have to start streaming it.
Dude,
streaming live coverage during the summer.
Over the summer, see, we were thinking about it. We were thinking, what would you guys think? You drop a comment, whatever. Over the summer, we'll both be home. Easy access. We could just start streaming on like TikTok or something and covering things. Just let us know what you think of that.
Yeah. Because the thought is like, you know, when it comes to like State of the Union, debates, that kind of stuff, live stuff, it's kind of hard to like summarize it all, then go back through it like a few days later.
Yeah.
So it could just be most efficient to cover live stuff during a live stream, and then, you know, use the pod for like news sources. And so let us know what you think.
Let us know what you think.
A little bit of a change.
Whatever you want. Give some suggestions, whatever.
Yeah,
hit the YouTube comments. Hit the Tron messages.
Become a patron.
Hit the DMs.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is.
Go for smoke.
If you ever follow our Instagram and actually follow our Twitter. But whatever.
If you guys ever actually give us the love that we deserve.
Yeah, for real.
Anyway, I think we could probably end on talking about the State of the Union.
We could.
And I don't really have too structured of a response to the State of the Union because he talked about a whole bunch of stuff. So this show might be a little bit more ad-lib, if I'm being quite honest.
Okay.
But the State of the Union was really just the State of the Union Middress, I would say. And I'm not going to apologize for that.
Quite a wordsmith with that one.
I'm not going to apologize. So Biden opens up with a response basically on the Ukraine situation. That was like the whole first, at least like 5-10 minutes of it. And I mean, it was like very basic stuff. I mean, nothing
he didn't
that
say
I was really
anything
surprised
crazy.
by. Yeah.
It was just like standard, like, okay, he's saying what he should be saying. He's doing what he should be doing. He's not going crazy with it. Whatever.
Yeah, it was nothing really crazy. Like, you know, we stand with the Ukrainian people. You need to stop a dictator when he's trying to like destroy everything. All very basic stuff. He also said that like he's not closing off airspace to Russian flights. At least like over Ukraine. But he did say, I think, that he's closing off Russian flights into the United States, which is fine. Because we're not shooting anybody down. That's good.
We're not defending air superiority or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then he also said the line where he's going to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves. Or no, 30 million from U.S. reserves, 60 million from reserves just around the world.
Yes.
So that's pretty sick.
In order to combat the loss from no longer buying oil from Russia, which we are feeling right now. I felt that when I filled up today.
Not going anywhere anymore.
Exactly.
Staying planted right here.
Shit.
Then he got into more of his like economic discussion. I was talking about like the American Rescue Plan. Like, I've led the greatest economic recovery of all time under my presidency. And it's like, to
It's
me,
like, kinda.
to me, that whole section just felt like I passed the American Rescue Plan, so like shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and then the infrastructure bill too.
Yeah, he did talk about the
Yep.
infrastructure bill. And then he also said, it's no longer infrastructure week. It's infrastructure decade.
That's right, baby. It is infrastructure decade.
Yeah, the GOP will support that, of
The
course.
GOP is going to support that in the midterms when they flip the House and or the Senate.
And then how'd you feel about that line on the fields in Ohio? Did you like that line?
I audibly, in my car, said, shut the fuck up.
So there was this one point where he was like, there's a lot of empty fields in Ohio. And when you look out, you may just see an empty field. But look again. I see an empty field of dreams.
It was the corniest delivery, the corniest buildup, and just the corniest everything, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, he said this because apparently Intel, the corporation, is going to build a bunch of new factories in Ohio.
Intel is investing, $100 million into building semiconductor factories in Ohio, which is like, yeah, that's cool. Like, it's cool to get more semiconductors built here, but ultimately, like, he's just doing his job.
Yeah.
Like, he's not doing this for altruistic reasons because everybody fucking applauded him for it. Mm-hmm. It's like, guys, this is not an altruistic thing.
Wasn't the CEO there? Like at the
he was there.
Yeah,
Biden shouted him out and everything. Why the fuck was he there?
I don't know.
Like, what's the deal with that? He's literally just doing his job.
Yeah.
Like, just
something in my heart just feels like this is uniquely dystopian. Like relying on a billionaire to like help the Ohio economy. You know what I mean? Like something is just uniquely strange and off-putting about saying like, yeah, the billionaires are finally coming to save us. Our supreme overlords are going to give you jobs so you finally won't be suffering and looking at these sad empty fields that we could be lining with public services.
Because it continues to frame everything just like how everything in America is framed from fucking birth here, that billionaires are just doing this because they want to help the world. Jeff Bezos did Amazon because he really just wants to help everybody. The Intel CEO is doing this because he wants to help people, and it's not just because he wants to make more fucking money so he can blow it on more hookers and cocaine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so fucking stupid.
And then he got on to talking about inflation. And I honestly thought like his rhetoric on inflation wasn't that bad. He said a third of it was caused by vehicle prices, which I don't know. That's probably true. Vehicle prices have skyrocketed.
Because of the chip shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably true. And then he said like we have two choices. We can either lower wages so Americans are poorer, or we can lower prices so Americans can afford what they need or something like that.
He said we can combat inflation by lowering wages, which nobody wants, which no. Not really.
Corporations want.
You can I guess technically combat inflation, but not inflation in any meaningful sense, because then purchasing power, it just fucking goes down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not the bar you thought it was, Biden. It's not.
I mean, I think it got the point across that he doesn't want to lower wages, at least, I guess. He did say at one point, let's raise the wage to $15 an hour, which, like, I guess it's good he's still trying.
Okay, but, like, with that, that's just a whole nother thing I wanted to talk about, because he said that. He said, we need to get wage to $15 an hour, and he started spouting off everything that was in the Build Back Better bill, like, just throughout the whole time. And it's like, dog, okay, you're doing this. You're saying that we need all these things, right? It's the same thing that happened when he did, what was the last speech of his we covered?
I honestly do not remember.
It was like 7 episodes ago or something, like 2 months ago. There's another Biden speech where he was doing the same fucking thing. And our whole point was just start going for smoke.
Was it when he was in Georgia? Was that the one on voting rights?
I don't think so.
I don't fucking know then. I don't remember.
you know what it
There's
is.
too many.
Exactly.
There's too many.
36 episodes in now.
I do remember the critique of like, just go for smoke. Like, just hammer him.
He had the fucking opportunity right there to literally just yell at Mitt Romney. He could have just yelled at every single Republican and be no, the insulin boy.
Yeah.
Insulin boy. He brought this kid on, 13-year-old. He's like, him and his father are type 1 diabetics. They need insulin. It only costs $10 to make a vial of insulin, yet they charge like, 200 times more to the consumer?
Yeah.
Or some shit like that?
Yeah.
And he started talking about how Medicare should be able to negotiate for drug prices. Insulin should only be $35 a bottle for a consumer. It should be free, but like, okay, I'll take it. You know what I mean? And he has them right there. He could have taken the opportunity to be like, and Mitt Romney doesn't want that to happen.
Right.
Not a single Republican wants you to be able to afford your insulin. They all voted no, and they will all continue to vote no until you vote them out because you have the power to do that.
Yeah.
That should have been the sentiment for this whole fucking State of the Union. The whole time, anytime he brought up anything in his agenda, he should have just called out fucking Mitt Romney, you're a piece of shit. Lindsey Graham, fuck you. Should have just said that verbatim right there.
People were booing him like a motherfucker during the speech,
I know, that
though.
was crazy.
But yeah, on the insulin part, he was saying that like he supports capping the price of insulin, allowing Medicare to negotiate, etc. Except the problem is, and this is the problem with the entire speech, is that it's in the context of Sinema and Joe Manchin not wanting to do anything to help.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is, and I don't know that it would have been a good strategy to call them out specifically because they probably would have just dug on their heels even more. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you're saying all this stuff. It's really nice, but no one believes it's going to happen because we have the Senate and a filibuster that is still not gone.
Yeah.
So like what are you even saying? Like you're not promising anything.
Everybody hears all the clapping whenever he brought that up, but anyone sitting at home watching is going to hear that clapping and just think, but they're not going to get this done.
Yeah.
It's going to further the disconnect between DC and the American people. It's so fucking stupid. They're so bad at messaging, bro.
Yeah.
Get me on there. Put me on the State of the Union address.
Put him on the communications team right now.
Joe Manchin, you can fucking either vote yes for this or give me a fucking rim job. I swear to God.
Quick callback. And then he had an absolute bar. Okay. Joe Biden had a bar. He said, I'm a capitalist.
Oh my God. Every single fucking time you give this dude a mic, he gets on there and he says, guys, I'm a capitalist. But capitalism without competition is exploitation. As opposed to what, Joe? Capitalism? Like,
yeah, as opposed to capitalism with competition, wherein you're not actually a wage slave. You're just a really nice worker and you're having a good time.
As opposed to capitalism with competition, where I can't afford to live.
Yeah. Yeah, capitalism without competition is exploitation, because there's always just true competition within capitalism, because the playing field is equal for every single person.
The markets work. Have you ever seen a fucking supply-demand graph? You don't get it. Equilibrium, baby. Come on.
Yeah. And then he got onto like his COVID take.
Okay.
And he was saying most of the country can now go mask free based on CDC guidelines. And then he said we have 4 rules to stay on guard.
Oh.
He said, number 1, be vaccinated and check out like the treatments, because I think COVID pills are coming or whatever. He said, prepare for new variants. That's number 2. Number 3, end shutdowns of schools and businesses.
Oh yeah, this was his 4-point common sense plan.
Yes.
Because they love to put common sense in front of all their fucking plans.
And then number 4, continue vaccinating the world.
Okay.
So like, I guess.
you know what would make it easier to vaccinate the world, Joe Biden? Releasing the intellectual property rights. Getting rid of the patent.
Can't do that because Pfizer's got to make its money.
Oh, so true. I'm sorry. I forgot that the needs of Pfizer, the same company that, did the opioid epidemic, were above the needs of literally anyone in another country anywhere else.
Well, yeah, on some New World Order shit, that means if Pfizer's profiting, that the vaccines don't work. Obviously, they don't work, and they're microchips going into your bloodstream. But
while I still believe that, I'm also a capitalist. Yeah. Because while I hate the profit motive, I love capitalism. Those don't contradict.
Because there's no competition right now under capitalism, because competition definitely can't happen. Because the consolidation of wealth doesn't directly contradict the idea of competition or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he got on to another just phenomenal take. He said that he supports community policing and that we don't need to defund the police.
Oh my fucking God.
We need to fund the police. So that was fun.
Dog. No.
I don't know why he said this, because he got shit on by people on the left, because it's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And then he got shit on by people on the right, because he's like, oh, wow, now the Democrats want to fund the police after 3 years of not wanting to fund them.
The Democrats were never defund the police.
Exactly.
They never adopted defund the police. That's been frustrating. The fact that the Republicans are saying that has been frustrating, but also the fact that Democrats never adopted defund the police has also just been frustrating, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, it's only been the only people that adopted defund the police has been like AOC and Bernie, and then whiny motherfuckers like us.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about
motherfuckers who have a podcast.
Right. Like, in no way has the Democratic Party accepted defund the police in any substantive, meaningful capacity. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's just what the conservatives have been running on, though. Is that like Democrats want to destroy the entire police and stuff like that.
Conservatives lying. What's new?
But also, Joe Biden was like, we need to fund the police with more resources and training, which is like, okay.
What does resources mean, though? Like,
First
realistically,
of all, I don't know what resources mean. Maybe more like tanks for
because that is what it means, like functionally.
But on the training aspect, that's literally what defund the police does. Yeah. Is reallocate the resources that are used for police, the bloated police departments, into things like education and poverty reducing policies. And then reallocate money that is currently within the police budget to things like training and ensuring that police aren't going to literally murder black people. That's it. That's what defund the police is.
And it's like, if you wanted to just make any meaningful progress with any of these police related things at all, why hasn't he talked about legalizing marijuana yet at the federal level? That has not come up in any meaningful capacity in the legislature. He could do that. He could push that forward.
It came up once when Chuck Schumer, like months ago, was like, we should legalize marijuana. Then nothing ever happened.
No, facts, because legalizing marijuana would have just insane benefits. It would decrease fucking police interactions with everybody.
Decrease the prison population.
So many people are there just because of marijuana. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah. No, that would be one step that you could actually take. And also, this part was just so tone deaf because, like, you could have taken that time to be like, okay, we need to fund the police, restructure how we're doing policing, and then also let's pass, like, the George Floyd Policing Act or whatever it is, which is, like, set up to reform policing and make it so police officers can be, I don't know, less obtrusive and less fucking destructive to human life. You could have taken the time to, like, acknowledge the specific struggle that specifically the black community has faced, but instead all he said was, let's fund the police more. He said nobody wants to defund the police, right? We should all fund the police. Guys. And it's like, dog, you're completely forgetting the entire population that hand delivered you the vote wanted you to maybe not defund the police, but at least restructure it to a degree that ensured that their people would not be murdered in the streets. Joe Biden doesn't win 2020 without black voters.
Oh, yeah.
And it really shows that he's really, really trying to win the white middle class vote right now.
Oh, my God. I know. I just don't understand why Democrats are, again, so focused on trying to flip the three people in the middle. It's ridiculous. And also, just another point that I wanted to bring up about that is, speaking of voters and people who voted him in, specifically the agenda he ran on to get voted in, that was another thing that was so frustrating listening to the State of the Union, is hearing him talk about all that stuff, the $15 minimum wage that he didn't pass, like it's going to pass.
Yeah.
Like, on top of him not calling out people for making it not pass, he could have used this in his way to just midterms. Get on your midterm shit. You could elect Democrats. Get people in who are going to vote for these things that I want, that you're all cheering for, right? Right? But no, it's so easy to say that you want a $15 minimum wage. It's so easy to say that you want progressive things when you know you will never have to go through the conservative fallout of those things actually getting passed, because you know they're not going to pass, because you know you're going to lose the House and or the Senate.
Yeah, every speech Joe Biden has from here on out should just be shitting on conservatives as hard as possible.
That's what it should have been from the start.
Shitting on conservatives and riling up your base your base that is very diverse, the coalition that hand delivered him the win in 2020, and the Democrats, the House and the Senate in 2020. He should be focusing on getting those people excited. Yeah. But by saying you want to fund the police, he didn't say a single thing about student debt. Saying you want to fund the police didn't say a single thing about student debt. Completely turns off all the young people and just about all the voters of color that voted for him in 2020 to do something about these problems. But he didn't really address either of them.
Ridiculous. But you know how easy it would be? You know how annoying those people are on college campuses who are like, oh my God, did you vote? Did you register for vote? Like, I'm into politics and I think they're annoying. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't imagine what the regular person thinks. It'd be so much easier. It'd make their lives so much better if they could be like, hey, vote for this guy. He will literally wipe your student loans. Something tells me that'd work a little bit to get the college kids riled up. I don't know though.
Yeah, maybe. And then there was, so during this State of the Union, I was scrolling through conservative Twitter.
Naturally.
And our head in the office Twitter page, like the timeline, is just all conservatives.
We follow like all conservatives right now.
So they were just absolutely unhinged. And there was one tweet in particular, or just a series of tweets, a theme really, that I saw, which was that Joe Biden, when he talked about insulin, a lot of conservatives brought up that Joe Biden overturned an executive order from Trump that was supposed to limit insulin prices or put a cap on them, which, surprise, surprise, that executive order did not do. Yeah. So a couple of things on that, just because I want to dispel this talking point entirely, is first of all, the order didn't actually lower insulin prices across the board. It lowered a small subsection of insulin that could be bought in a certain area of like the federal, I don't know, marketplace.
Yeah, and you still had to qualify for it, don't you? And you had to like fill out a bunch of forms and shit. Yeah,
it actually just made insulin for healthcare providers harder to buy. So that actually did not help the prices for the consumer in any kind of capacity. And also, the rule wasn't in effect. So similar to the fucking Keystone XL pipeline, the rule was not in effect. So Biden undoing it didn't do anything. Yeah. So shut up about that. So, and also,
shut the fuck up.
At one point, I do want to note that when Biden was talking about taking care of like soldiers and veterans, Laura Boebert screamed out, 13 dead soldiers. So that was a funny moment. I was wondering if we were going to get an Obama moment. You know what I mean? Like when they called him a liar back in like, I don't know, whatever year that was he was doing State of the Union. Yeah. Because he was saying, and they were like, liar. So he had his Obama moment.
Good shit. Yeah. I love Lauren Boebert. She's such a fantastic representative.
Before we close this out, I want to play a little bit of a game. I want to play a little game. This isn't in the show notes. This is the first time Gage is hearing about this.
All right.
I've gotten some takes together, okay, that I found on Twitter.
Okay.
And I want you to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 based on putridity. Okay,
10 is most putrid?
10 is most putrid. 1 is not putrid whatsoever.
Welcome to the new segment, everybody.
Welcome to a new segment. So these are all about the State of the Union.
They're all from State of the Union, so none of those Russia takes I sent you earlier?
No.
Oh my
So this
God.
is from Laura Ingram. She said, Biden's State of the European Union speech is amazing. Pretending like his Ukraine policy has been a huge success, and the trained seals in the chamber clap. What would you rate that?
The State of the European Union. Bro, they just put words together. That's it. It's like, bro, the things that they say are like you typed 3 words and then auto-corrected the middle button. Like the middle button auto-filled words for the rest of the tweet. Holy shit. I'll give it a 6. It's not the worst that she said before.
True.
Because the thing about the Fox host, everybody knows Tucker Carlson. And just the thing is, once you get to Hannity at 10 and then Laura Ingram at 11, somehow the shit that they say gets even worse than the stuff that Tucker says on the primetime spot.
Yeah, Tucker's a little bit more explicit with it, but Laura Ingram can be unhinged.
Oh my God, she says the worst shit out of any of them.
All right, so next one's from Lauren Bobart.
Okay.
She said, when Biden said flag-draped coffins, I couldn't stay silent. I told him directly he did it. He put 13 in there. Our heroic servicemen and women deserve so much better.
I'm so fucking sick, dog. That's a 9. That's a 9.
That's a 9. All right, next one. This may make you rethink your rankings
Okay.
here. Ben Shapiro, he said that all of this is Joe Biden's fault and that the problems that Joe Biden has experienced in the last 14 months have been of his own causing. And then he said, quote, Biden is like the Kurt Cobain of presidents. He put a shotgun in the mouth of the American body politic and pulled the trigger. Now the brains are splattered.
No, that tweet is so fucking funny just because of that description, right? Because you can tell he's using all the skills he learned while he was failing at trying to become a Hollywood screenwriter, and all the skills he learned from publishing his 2 multiple fucking horribly written books.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's a 10. That is a 10 right there.
That
Oh
is a
my
10.
God.
Like, bro, first of all, what point is he even making?
In the shotgun and the brains fucking splattered all over the wall of the White House. Oh my God.
So violent for no reason. Also, Joe Biden caused all of his own problems. Like, what are you talking about, dog? He's been in office for 2 years. What problems?
Not
has he
even 2
possibly
years.
caused?
He's been in office for 8 years.
Oh yeah, 8 years.
Yeah.
One. Just
Oh
one.
my God.
What could he have possibly done? Like, they just make shit up. Like, most of the problems he just inherited from Trump. Like Afghanistan, he inherited that situation from Trump. COVID, he inherited that situation. The economy, he inherited from Trump. Like, what are you talking about?
Maybe Harvard Law isn't as prestigious as people claim it is.
They give anyone a degree nowadays.
Honestly, it must be the case. I might as well apply.
All right, this one's a bit of a smaller one. Some random reporter, I can't remember who it was. They said, how do you think the Ukrainians received the State of the Union last night? How do you think all the Ukrainians tuning in, I think at their time, like 5 a.m. to watch the State of
I
the
bet
Union?
they really just wanted to watch the fucking American State of the Union with the American president talking about American issues while their cities are in the middle of being bombed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was only like 36 million Americans watching anyway. Which
Yeah,
is like
Americans
which
don't
is like
even
what, a
watch.
fifth of the voter of like the voting
that's
body
like
in the United States.
Oh, the voting body, I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So like I don't think they were really watching it.
I love this.
And then last one we got from Steven Crowder. He said, just 60 million barrels of oil? We go through 20.6 million a day. So how will that actually help? Maybe former Vice President Biden shouldn't have shut down the Keystone XL pipeline while approving the Nord Stream 2 going through Russia. # State of the Union.
Crazy how Nord Stream 2 is also shut down, you fucking buffoon.
Also, he's like, we go through 20.6 million barrels a day. But it's like, yeah, he's releasing the reserves to help curb the effects of what will be felt from Russia. It's not 60 million to be used in their entirety right now.
And literally, that's it. It's not like we have 0 barrels right now and we are gonna have 60 million.
Like, he's just stupid. He's just dumb.
He thinks he made a point too, and that's what he does in literally all his fucking videos, especially his Change My Minds, is he'll say some insanely fucking stupid statistic, notoriously 1350, and be like, feel like the smartest motherfucker in the room after dropping that. Oh my!
So actually,
goodness.
I do got. Wait, what do you rate that?
I'm gonna say Steven Crowder, not as unhinged as we've seen from him before. I'll give it a 6.
Okay. And then we got last one. Actually, I lied. We have one more.
Okay.
From Donald Trump Jr.
No.
He said, Joe Biden wants to help young transgender individuals achieve their utmost potential. Admirable. But it seems their only focus is doing so in women's sports.
When did he talk about women's sports? That's an 11. That's an 11 right there. When did that even get brought up?
He said,
my God.
Joe Biden had like one sentence about transgender people, had nothing to do with sports.
He said one thing where he's like, I will always support transgender youth, and that's it. And funnily enough, he is the only American president to ever have said that. So,
and it's not even him saying it, it's just fucking speechwriters.
No, literally, it's his PR team.
Like, what is he talking about?
Donald Trump Jr., his social media is so fucking wild. You can tell he's so depressed from his dad not loving him because all the shit he posts is about his dad. It's wild. It's borderline incestual. I saw this one the other day where it was just a picture of Donald Trump with a gas pump and it said, "Miss me yet?"
Oh my God, bro.
I'm going to start posting them on the Head in the Office story.
Start shit posting
again.
Anyway.
If any of you would follow the social medias.
Anyway, that ends our section on rating the putrid takes. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Fun little section.
It's a fun little episode we had going on
and
there.
that rounds us out for the episode. That ends the State of the Union coverage.
Exactly.
I hope y'all hated it as much as we did.
Thanks. Lots of laughs this time, hopefully. I'm praying. Some people say we're funny.
I'm praying
to God.
Anyway, before we go, we got to thank our patrons.
Of course.
We got to thank our loyal patrons over on Patreon. They get all the episodes early. They support us. They're our financial backers.
That's right.
So we got to give them a special thanks. So we got to give a special thanks to Cricket Scrapbook Layouts, Nikki Nine Lives, Caden Kraut, Terrence Nicholson, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Thalia Kotz, 40% Spite, Omar Zuno, Mike Chilpinski, Mattias T, John G, The B Plot, Clayton LaFour, Ash Fairblood, Mark Yeager, and my mom. Thank you all for supporting the show on Patreon. That list is getting pretty long.
Let's go.
We couldn't do it without you.
Not at all.
And I hope you have a good week.
Have a great one, everybody.
See y'all.